What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Michael, and today we're going over week 1 of my hypertrophy-based program called the Aesthetic Sculptor. Now, each week we're going to go over at least one basic hypertrophy training principle that every hypertrophy program out there should have. Now, the one we're going to be talking about today is tension. We want maximum tension. And there's 3 main ways that you can do this. The first way is to increase the weight. If you have more weight on the bar or heavier dumbbells or more resistance bands, whatever you're doing, the more resistance you have, the more stimuli your muscles have to recruit to execute that particular exercise. That one's pretty self-explanatory. The second one, which we're going to go into, is one of the main ways that we're going to utilize in week 1, and that is the eccentric portion of a lift. Now I'm going to break this down really quick so you can understand it, as the name is a lot more intimidating and confusing than the names would conclude. Now, eccentric portion is when you're lengthening the muscle and you're contracting it at the exact same time. So it's when you're lowering that bar to your chest during the bench press. It's when you're descending into the hole during the squat. The other portion of the lift is the concentric phase. That's when you're pushing the bar off your chest on bench press, and that's when you're driving out of the hole in the squat. Now, we're going to use a physical test to make sure that we're utilizing those muscles that we're actually supposed to be using. It's very easy after following a program for such a long time that you just go through the motions and you're not thinking about it as much. Or you're so focused on the weight that you kind of forget the real goal that you're going for. And that's hypertrophy. We want to build as much muscle as possible, right? So what we're going to do is a test to see if you're using those targeted muscles that you're actually supposed to use. Before you initiate the movement, I want you to contract whatever muscles you may be using in that particular lift between the concentric and the eccentric portion of the phase. So during that transition phase, you should be squeezing those muscles as tight as you can. Again, and when you finish the repetition, again, you should be squeezing those muscles as tight as you can. Now, during any of these 3 checks during a repetition, if you find that, wow, you can actually squeeze a lot more than you just were, you're not using the muscles you're supposed to be using. You're just going through the movement, and we don't want to be caught in this habit. Now, the second way we increase the tension without actually increasing the weight is by utilizing the eccentric portion of the lift to our advantage. If you're going to do strength training, your main focus is to move as much weight as possible. So your eccentric portion of your lifts may be 1 to 2 seconds. But that's not our main focus here. Our main focus is to stimulate that muscle as much as possible and create as much damage to the muscle fibers as we can. And one way we can do that is by actually slowing down the eccentric portion. So we're going to be aiming for 1.5 to 4 seconds for the eccentric portion of every single exercise on every single repetition. And what this allows us to do is to create more damage to the muscle tissue and help that lactic acid build up when you're working out. That's kind of like the burn. And what this does is it's pretty much your muscles suffocating, saying, hey, we can't keep up, we're getting tired. And that's what you want. You don't want to be in there all day, because if your muscles aren't getting tired, you're not doing anything. So stimulating more lactic acid has a direct correlation with being an effect of more damage to the muscle fibers, which is correlated with more muscle growth. So maximum tension, using the 3 checks throughout each repetition and slowing down those eccentric portions. That's all I got for this video, guys, as far as week 1. We're going to get into week 2, 3, and 4 coming up soon. I hope you guys did enjoy that video. If you did, be sure to smash that thumbs up button, as it really does let me know that you enjoy the content that I'm putting out there. Now, if you did dislike the video and you feel obligated to give it a thumbs down, go ahead, but before you do so, I ask that you go down to the comment section down below and you comment why you didn't like the video, what I can improve on, that way I can make them more entertaining and more appealing to watch. Also, be sure to subscribe for the latest information and to get updates when I first upload, so you don't have to keep on going back to my channel to check. That's all I got for this video, guys. See you in the next one.